In the scorched summer of 1873, the town of Dust Hollow, Arizona Territory, baked under a relentless sun that turned the dirt streets to powder and men's tempers to fuse. It was a place where fortunes were won with a poker hand and lost with quicker draw, with a line between hero and villain blurred like heat haze off the mesa. Folks whispered the Black Ridge Gang, outlaws who rode like demons and left trails of broken banks and broken dreams. At their head was Silas Blackjack Thorne, a man whose name struck fear into sheriffs from Tucson to Tombstone, tall as a lodgepole pine, with eyes like chipped obsidian and a jaw scarred from a Comanche blade. Silas was the devil you didn't want at your door. But beneath that iron exterior beat a heart as tangled as barbed wire, a heart that had loved once and lost it till bullet meant for him. Silas wasn't always a bandit. 20 years back, he'd been a greenhorn deputy, sworn to uphold the law in a Kansas homestead. That's where he met Eliza May, a slip of a girl with laughter like wind chimes and hair the color of ripe wheat. They planned a life together. White picket fence, a passel of kids, the works. But on their wedding eve, raiders hit the town. Eliza took the stray shot, and Silas held her as the light faded from those cornflower eyes. "Lie fierce, my love," she whispered, "for both of us." He buried her under a lone cottonwood and rode west, vengeance his only compass. The law bent him crooked, and by 73, he was king of the canyons, his gang a family of misfits who'd follow him into hellfire. Word spread fast in Dust Hollow, the annual charity auction at the Silver Spur Saloon, where desperate souls, widows, debtors, fallen women, were bid on like cattle for labor contracts. It was legal enough to skirt the edges, a grim necessity in a land short on hands and long on hardship. On that sweltering July eve, the saloon thrummed with cigar smoke and the clink of spurs. Silas slouched at the bar, nursing a whiskey sour, his gang scattered among the crowd like wolves in sheep's wool. He wasn't there for bids. He was there for the banker who'd swindled his ma out of her claim years back. A little payback, served cold. The auctioneer, a weasel-faced feller named Grimes, banged his gavel. "Next lot, gentlemen. Miss Leora Kane, 19 summers, skilled in sewing and hearthwork. Sold to the highest bidder for 1 year's service. Starting bid, $5. The curtain parted, and in shuffled Leora, her head bowed under a threadbare shawl that veiled her face like a mourner's shroud. Whispers rippled through the room. Tales of her pa, a prospector who drunk himself to death in the mines, leaving her to the wolves. She'd been donated by her late uncle to settle debts, her youth her only currency. Bids trickled in. $10 from a leering ranch hand, 15 from a tobacco-spitting trader. Leora stood stock still, her hands clasped so tight her knuckles gleamed white. No one knew the firestorm raging inside her. A Spitfire orphan at 12 who clawed her way through saloons and stagecoaches, dreaming of a teaching post back east. But dreams died quick in the West. Silas watched from the shadows, something twisting in his gut. She reminded him of Eliza, not the looks, but the quiet defiance, the way her shoulders squared against the world's boot heel. When the bid stalled at 20, a burly cattle baron named Hargrove threw in 30, his grin yellow as old teeth. "I'll put that filly to good use, boys." Laughter erupted, coarse and cruel. Leora's breath hitched, audible even over the din. 40, Silas growled, his voice cut in the air like a Bowie knife. Heads turned. Hargrove's face purpled. 50, he barked back. Silas didn't flinch. 60. The saloon fell silent, all eyes on the scarred outlaw who just painted a target on his back. Grimes hammered the gavel. Sold to Mr. Thorne for $60. Murmurs exploded as Silas strode forward, tossing a pouch of dust onto the bar. Leora lifted her veil just enough to meet his gaze, emerald eyes blazing with a mix of fury and fear. And then he saw it, the scar, a jagged lightning bolt from brow to jaw, puckered pink against her olive skin, courtesy of a jealous rival's acid-tossed 2 years prior. The town called her the Marked Witch, said it was God's judgment for her ma's sins. Silas felt that old ache bloom in his chest. "Come on, then," he muttered, offering his arm. She hesitated, then took it, her touch light as a moth's wing. They rode out under cover of dusk, Silas's gang melting into the arroyos like smoke. Leora clung to the saddle horn on a spare mare, the wind whipping her shawl away to reveal raven hair tangled with dust. "Why me?" she demanded over the hoofbeats. "You could have let that pig have me." Silas spat into the sand. "Oh, you nothing. But I seen enough good women ground under heel. You'll cook, mend. Earn your keep till your year's up. Then you're free." She laughed, bitter as gall. "Free? In this godforsaken waste? You're a fool, Mr. Thorne. Or worse, a romantic." He shot her a sidelong glance, the first crack in his armor. "Call me Silas. And romantics die young out here." Camp was a hidden hollow in Black Ridge, ringed by saguaros and guarded by loyal shadows. Young Jem, the sharpshooter with a harmonica habit. Grizzled Tuck, the cook with stories taller than the Tetons. And Rosa, the Mexican healer who'd stitched more wounds than a battlefield dock. Leora slipped into the rhythm like she'd been born to it. Darning socks by firelight, stirring bean pots with a wooden spoon that danced like a wand. But nights were hard. She'd wake screaming from nightmares of the auction block, and Silas would find himself at her tent flap, rifle in hand, murmuring, "Ain't no ghosts here, girl. Just a sinners." Weeks blurred into a fragile truce. Silas taught her to shoot, her aim truer than his, her laugh freer when she winged a tin can. She'd patch his cuts from saloon scraps, her fingers gentle on his scars. "This one," she'd ask, tracing the Comanche mark, "reminds me of mine." He'd grunt, "Proof we survived." One starry evening, after a raid that left the gang flush with stolen gold, they sat by the creek. Fireflies danced like fallen stars. Leora dropped her guard. "The scar, it was my cousin, wanted my pa's claim. Said I was cursed, a blight on the family. Folks believe it still. Say it'll bring ruin to any man who touches me." Silas's hand hovered near hers. "Fool talk. Scars ain't curses. They're maps. Mine led me here." Their eyes locked, and in that charged silence he kissed her, soft at first, then fierce, like a dam breaking after drought. She pulled back, eyes wide. "Silas, you're an outlaw. I'm damaged goods. This ends in bullets or bars." He cupped her face, thumb brushing the scar. "Then we'll outrun 'em both. Eliza, my Eliza, she taught me love ain't about perfection. It's about choosing the fight worth dying for. But the West don't let lovers breathe easy." Word of Silas's pet which reached Hargrove, who simmered with grudge and greed. He rallied a posse, deputized by that crooked banker, and set ambushes along the gang's trails. Jem took a slug in the leg during a stagecoach hit. Rosa patched him, but whispers grew. The girl's bad luck. Ever since she came, the law's sniffing closer. Leora overheard, the old shame clawing back. One dawn, she slipped away, leaving a note pinned to Silas's saddle. "Freedom's no gift if it chains you too. Live fierce, for both of us." Silas found the note at noon, his world tilting like a struck top. Rage and grief warred in him as he tracked her prints toward Dust Hollow. The gang followed, loyal to the bone. By dusk, he stormed the saloon where she'd holed up, waitressing for scraps. Hargrove was there, cornering her with a proposition. "Marry me, which or I'll see thorns swing." Silas kicked in the batwing doors. Irons blazing. Gun smoke filled the air as bullets sang. Hargrove's men dropping like felled timber. The banker cowered behind the bar, spilling secrets in his terror. Forged deeds, stolen claims, the works. Silas dragged him out by the collar, but Leora stepped between them, her derringer steady. "No more blood, Silas. Not for me." The posse thundered, and then, badges glinting. Outnumbered, the gang formed a ragged line. Silas raised his hands, eyes on Leora. "Take me, then. But hear this. She's free. Always was." The sheriff, a decent sort weary of the baron's bribes, eyed the scene. The banker babbled confessions, and Hargrove lay groaning, "Gut shot. Self-defense." The lawman muttered, holstering his Colt. "Get while the getting's good, Thorne, and take the girl. Town's better without your kind of trouble." They rode out as the sun dipped, the gang whooping like Comanches on the warpath. Back in Black Ridge, under that same creek's whisper, Silas pulled Leora close. "You ran, 'cause you thought you were cursed. But darling, you're my salvation. She traced the scar with a smile, her own marked silver in the moonlight, and you're my map home. Years later, when the Black Ridge Gang hung up their spurs for a legit ranch in New Mexico territory, folks told tales of the scarred outlaw and his marked bride. They raised 3 wild-haired young-uns who roped steers by day and danced jigs by night. Silas and Leora grew old together, their love a legend etched in canyon stone. Proof that in the Wild West, some bullets miss, but the truest shots hit the heart square on. And if you listen close on a still Arizona night, you might hear their laughter echoing off the ridges forever, like if this twist melted your heart. Comment your favorite Wild West romance below. Subscribe for more frontier forbidden loves.